I gotcha. Today on In the Woodyard, we're doing a 500-hour review on my Kioti tractor, and we got problems. Here we go. So, yesterday, Bert went to use the tractor, and he said the battery's dead again. This is the second time. And so I came down here and looked, and it's all corroded and nasty. It's an interstate battery. It's the second one I put in here. We put one in about a year ago because that battery died. And the reason the first battery died is this case that holds the battery is right up front here. And if you can see, this is basically like the bumper, and the battery hangs below that. So when you go into a log pile, it's real easy to hit this. And we actually bent this whole thing back and smashed the first battery. And it was cracked and leaking. And so we bent it back, put a new battery in, and now this battery is dead too. It's not been smashed, but I can see it's pretty corroded. And we tried turning it over. I just tried to do it again. Now it just clicks. There's not enough power there. So I'm going to pull the battery out and we're going to get a new battery. And as soon as I'm doing this, I thought I would go over everything that's gone wrong with the tractor that we've had for, I don't know, it might be almost 3 years that I've had the tractor. There's 500 hours on it. We just turned 500, like 502 or 3, something like that. So I was planning on doing a 500-hour review anyway. I've done the regular maintenance. We have had some things go wrong. This past winter, I was plowing and we blew a seal on the hydraulic line somewhere, and we had hydraulic fluid leaking all over. That was covered under warranty. They fixed it. The first thing that went wrong, however, was this aftermarket control arm here for the hydraulics, for the lift arm and the curl and all that stuff. And for the third function, this is a aftermarket, second party, whatever you want to call it, third function lever, because it's got the open and close for the grapple. And this is the second one. The first one broke right here. Yep, there's a real weak spot right here. So we put the new one on, and then I reinforced it. I've got 2 bolts that are angled right here because it broke right here before, somewhere down here. So basically I taped on some extra bolts here because it's a very weak design, but that's the one that it comes with. So there's some reinforcements in there. It's been working fine since then. Inside the boot, there's only 2 screws that hold the whole thing together. And there's a third hole on a plate that holds it all in. I'm not going to take it apart and show you. But that's kind of a weak link too, because those screws come loose occasionally. We've had to tighten them a couple times. So this was the first issue. And then the battery was the second issue. And that's been replaced once. We're going to do that again. Another thing that happens when we've got the arms lifted all the way up, this hose right here, this top one, pulls out occasionally. It's happened probably a half a dozen times. When you've got the arms raised up and you curl the bucket, or if you got curl the forks, this will actually pull right out. It disengages it. And the first time it happened, I could not figure out what was wrong, why I didn't have any control with my grapple thumb. And then I followed the hoses, and this one was hanging here. So it's happened a couple times. So this hose is actually a little short. So that's an issue. Let's see what else has happened. The sign in the back, which is a minor thing, that came loose. I just put a new screw in here, and because that was hanging loose, and the other one was just about ready to fall off, so that was loose. Oh, this I broke, I think, like the 3rd or 4th day we had it. It bumped something, I don't know what happened, but they're hanging on the outside, which to me doesn't make any sense, because this is just a little piece of plastic that holds this. And it's been like that now, because it's rubber that's holding it here. It's been like this now for 3 years. So it's just hanging. It still works, but to me, this is a very poor mounting system. It should be a metal cage going around this. Like this part right here should come out and around, and the light should be inside of that to protect this. It's just hanging out there. This one has not been bumped or broken yet. You can see it's still solid, but it wouldn't take much. I think if you just punched it, you could snap it right off. And if you're obviously in trees or brush, it's real easy to break. I can't remember how this broke. It was something real simple and easy, I know, that happened. But so that's, to me, a bad design. That should be different. Let's see, what else? The brake. The brake, when you engage it, there's a brake lock right here, this lever. And when you push it in, this catch, let's see, where is it right here? This catch right here has a hard time getting engaged. See if I push this here. Oh no, that's the engaged. So let's just push it down. There we go. So I gotta go up inside. It's this catch right here. If you see that little notch that's getting wore in there, when we push this down, let's see if I can do this with the camera here. You push this down, and then this lever, you pull down, and then this engages. And because it's getting worn there, you have to push hard. You have to make sure you get it locked in with the lever. So it's not a real, it's one of those things you got to kind of know how to do it. You push the lever down, you got to lock it. So that's getting worn right there. And you got to have the brake on, obviously, when you're not running. The next thing to happen, this happened, I don't know, probably over a month ago now. This pin right here, I'll go to the other side so you can see this is a farmer fix. Bert put this pin in here. I'm going to go to the other side and show you. This is what it's supposed to look like. It's got this arm, the pin goes through, and then there's a pin in there, and I'm going to go get the new ones that we just got. So here's the pin that we broke, or it looks like it was maybe even a factory issue where there was a flaw in the manufacturing, because it's like it was cracked down the middle, and it's kind of rusted and corroded. So I think it might have had a crack in it from the beginning, or it was cracked a long time ago from ramming something, and it finally broke. And so I ordered the new pins. So basically this just goes in right here where this one is, and then this arm right here locks on the outside, and then on the inside there's a pin that holds it in place. These pins right here, these I know there's a name for those, can't think of it. Anyway, these pins, lynch pins, I think that's what those are. That just flips over, so that just needs replaced. But Bert had a pin and he put a vice grip on it, so we've been using it this way now for, I don't know, probably a month, because I had to order these. And these two pins, this one and the one in the bag, was $120. So here's the other one. It was like a brass colored one, and this one is just kind of a silver. And then we're going to replace both of them, both sides, and then the one that's on the other side, like the original one, we'll just have that as a spare. So I figured, as soon as I'm ordering one, I might as well order two. So that's that. The other thing we did on the tractor, which you're not supposed to do, is whenever you would stand up, because when you go to hook up an implement, a lot of times you'll stand up so you can see your, you know, the contact plates up there where you can scoop it up. And what happened, if I can find it here, somewhere in here. So when you would stand up, the tractor shuts off because it's got a seat sensor. And what Bert did, there's a wire in there that you plug in, and it's a seat sensor, so when you lift up, the tractor shuts off if you don't have it neutral and the parking brake on. Well, when you're working, you know, I have no problem putting the brake on, but being in neutral, and you got to do all that to get off. And there's a lot of times I just hop off, or I reach over, and you're standing up and you do something, and the tractor shuts off on you. So Bert just found a fuse and stuck it in there, so it has it connect the circuit, so it doesn't do that anymore. You don't have to worry about the seat sensor. So I know from the factory they probably legally have to have it in there, but I didn't want it. Nobody wants that. It's just a pain. So there's that. I do operate with the ropes up almost all the time. Very rarely do we put them down. I did put on the swivelly knob here, which is awesome. If you don't have one of these, get one. These are just awesome to have. They're like $15 or something, 20 maybe. So that's been good. We keep the tractor key right in it all the time because we only have the one here. We've only had the regen run a couple times where I had to just let it sit and run because I wasn't using it and it started. Most of the time when I'm using the tractor, I can crank up the RPMs up to, I think it's 1800 or something like that. You're supposed to have it above when the regen kicks in, and I just keep working and work right through it, so it's not been an issue, but still kind of a pain. The one thing that we did do, if I can come up here and show you, is that one time we were doing a tree job and we were loading logs into a trailer, and one of the logs, we loaded 2 logs, one of the logs rolled out of the trailer. One of the other guys who was running the tractor couldn't back up fast enough, and we got a little dent here. So a log came down and hit it, but everything works fine, but it's got that little dent on the hood there, which is, I'm glad that it's a metal hood, because if this had been a John Deere, this would have just shattered, because John Deere hoods are plastic for the most part. I don't know if they all are, but I know my brother Ken's is, because he smashed his and shattered it and had to get a new one. So there's that. The only other thing I guess I'd have to say is that You know, the battery has been an issue. I do have a heater core on it here. I got a plug-in, which I've only ever had to use a couple times. We do keep the tractor in the shed most of the time, but I would say those are all the issues we've had, which really aren't, you know, major things. They're just things that happen. Overall, love the tractor. I would buy another one. I am interested in shopping around and maybe getting a different tractor or working with someone that would be a dealership or a tractor line that is interested in having their tractor on my channel all the time, which would be awesome. I have nothing against the Kiotis. I think they're excellent. It was a very good purchase. But I'm thinking about maybe upgrading to a bigger tractor, just thinking about it. I'm not actually doing anything about it, just thinking about it. Or working with someone that's willing to have me show their tractor like a lot, because the tractor's on the channel all the time. So I've been doing free advertising for Kioti for a long time, and I'm at the point now where I think I can start saying to people, I've got enough people that watch. If you've got a product you want me to show, review, use, enter a partnership with someone, I definitely wouldn't be against that. But if I did sell the Kioti, there's a real good chance I would buy another Kioti, and I would get one just a little bit bigger. But I'm not in any big hurry to sell it. I mean, just thinking about it. I'm always thinking about upgrading with everything, you know how it is. There's always bigger, better, faster, nicer, newer, all that kind of stuff. And I'm a new kind of guy. I'm not into the old stuff at all. I want the best, newest, freshest, most updated thing, whatever it is. I don't care if it's tractors, chainsaws, or a wheelbarrow. I want it to be, if I'm going to buy it, I want the good one. I don't want an old antique that I have to tinker on and fix and do maintenance. I hate doing mechanical work because I don't get paid when I do mechanical work. I'm not a mechanic. If I was a mechanic, I'd be getting paid to fix stuff. I want stuff to work. I'm willing to pay a little bit more for a product to get something that just works. So today I'm going to pull all this. I have to take the air cleaner out. I have to take this whole thing off just to get at the battery, because it's in a really stupid spot, if you ask me. Right up front where it can get smashed. That's a poor design, I think. The battery should be somewhere easier to get at. I don't know. That's just, to me, not a good spot. So overall, the tractor has been excellent. Everybody that runs it, that has run other tractors, when they operate it, they say, wow, it's really smooth. The lift arm control is just, the hydraulics are super nice and smooth. Everything works really good on it. You know, the little things that have gone wrong, which, you know, I've used this tractor and abused it. I haven't babied it at all. This is not a tractor that I keep in a shed and rub with a diaper once a week, you know, and polish it. It's never been washed. It's a tractor. It's a work tool. This is what it is. This is not something that I worship. I'm not like some guys that have their tools and they just like to drive around on them and look important. I want it to work. That's why I buy stuff, to use it. And this has been excellent. It's my first tractor I've ever bought, but I've ran other tractors. My dad had an old Massey that I used when I was younger. I ran it a lot. He just sold it not too long ago. I've driven a John Deere. I've driven a couple other small tractors. My other brother has a TYM, nice tractor also. I'm not against any of them. The reason I bought the Kioti, if you go back and watch those videos long ago, was the lift capacity. It had a higher lift capacity than almost all the other comparatively priced tractors, size-wise. I think Branson was the next closest one. It might even lift it just a little bit more. I think it's got a lift of 23 or 2400 at the contact up front. Comparable size, John Deere could only lift like 1700, 1600. It was a lot less. And plus, when I went to John Deere, when I went to the local place around here to look, they wouldn't even talk to me. It was like, oh yeah, there's the brochures. That was it. That was their sales approach. Whereas I went everywhere else, they actually helped me. I really wanted to get a John Deere or a Kubota, because I like both of those. I thought they were good brands, and I thought they'd be good to have. The Kubota was towards the top of my list. But when I compared this tractor, this is a DK4710SE with a comparable sized Kubota. The Kubota was $6,000 to $8,000 more. So a lot more. All in, I think I paid in the upper 20s for this, 27, 28, something like that. That's what I paid for this tractor. And because the tractor prices and prices on everything went up, it's probably worth more now than when I originally bought it. You know, once I get all the little things fixed on here, I probably could sell it and get all my money back and put it towards another one. So just thinking about it. Okay, let's fix this battery. So first off, metric. Don't like metric. I'm fine with metric if everything was metric. Why don't they just make a standard size worldwide and be done with it? Stuff you got to go back and forth. I had to go because I don't use metric that often because I don't really want metric. But so anyway, this is the only way. Let's see if I can get it off from down here. Yeah, I got to hold this under here. Yeah, I remember this was kind of pain last time. We had to take this whole thing off, the air cleaner off, just to get at the battery, and then remove the whole battery brackets and everything just to get it out. Last time it was really hard because it was smashed in there, and we could not get the battery out. We had to actually pry the battery out. It was a major pain. So now there's no reason for this bolt to be underneath here. It could be right here where you can get at it. Whoever designed some of this stuff, some of the engineers need to be slapped, because I know mechanics complain all the time, like when they put a bolt like in a spot where you can't get at it. It just doesn't make sense. Yep, making big money now. Working on stuff. There, I think we're free. Okay, I think I can just swing this whole thing right out of here if I remember right. We did this like a year ago, like I said. Yeah, that whole bracket can sit there, and that's good there. Yeah, she's all corroded and nasty looking here, so I got to think about how I got to do this. Seems to me I have to take this whole plate out of here. Yeah, I got to take this whole front mounting thing off here for the bumper. I'm going to take this whole thing off just to get at the battery. Doesn't make any sense. Put the battery in a place where you can get at it. You're going to change a battery. All right, let's bust my knuckles. Oh. Okay, so I got the last bolt out, and not that big a deal. The plate came out pretty easy, actually, but I just like to complain because I don't like doing mechanical work. And then I got there's a bracket that holds the battery in place. I got to take that out, disconnect the terminals, and pull the thing out. So not the end of the world. Okay, so I got the terminals disconnected, and the hard part is the battery is so tight in here, it won't come out. So I'm gonna have to pry it out. So I got a pry bar here. Oh, it'd be nice if I had a Bert or a Adam here, because one guy could lift and one guy could pry, or we could both pry and lift. Because it's so tight, this compartment is ridiculously small, and then maybe the battery is too big. I don't know. Like I had to get one side, then the other side, and let's go back and forth, and eventually I'll get it out. But there's all kinds of debris down inside this compartment here. Fell down in the compartment or trough where it fits, so it's even tighter, and I don't want to bust the battery apart getting it out, even though it's junk. You don't want it leaking all over. Jeez. Yeah, 2 guys would be nice. Bert should be home pretty soon, maybe. Maybe I just wait for him to come home and we yank it out, or I'll just keep working on it till he gets here. Oh, yeah, he needed to use this yesterday to load some totes, and so they had to jump it. That's when they discovered the battery was dead. They couldn't keep it. Couldn't turn it off. I'm having fun. I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. Ugh. Oh yeah, it's bent in. It's got a bow to it. So what I'd like to do is to take the compartment, this whole box out. I don't see an easy way to do that. And pound it out and make it bigger. But I'm going to pound on it with a hammer right in there and get it this way, because it's been hit a couple times up front, so the whole box has got a bow to it. It's like concaved and it's pushed back a little bit too. I can see it's got a little angle back, so it has been hit. And that's probably what's causing our problems, is this poor battery placement design tractor thingy. The other options, you know, we could weld some type of a protector on the bottom there so we don't hit it, like a battery bumper or something. But for now, I'm gonna go get a new battery, and then I'm gonna pound this out and put a new battery in. So I put the battery back in because I took it into where I bought it, and they found that it did have a little leak up in the top here because the cover wasn't on tight. But the problem was the connection, this terminal right here. When I took it apart, it seemed loose, but I just thought it was the battery. They tested it, everything tested out just fine with it because it's only a year old. So I put this back on here, and on the negative, I drove a screw down in there, so now it's on super tight because it was loose. That was the problem. I cleaned all the contacts, scrubbed them all up with a wire brush, and got them all cleaned up, so the tractor started right up twice. So it's good to go. So just got to put it back together now. There it is. Everything's back together. It's all mounted. I cut down the bolts that were sticking out on the mount here so it's not sticking into the battery. So it's all good now. I opened up some space, pounded on a little bit so it fit much better. So now all I got to do is close everything up. All right, now the moment of truth. Should start right up. It started before when I had it all hooked up for the first time. So let's see what happens here. Looks like we got juice. No problemo. All ready to rock and roll again. Tomorrow I can do some actual work instead of just playing with nuts and bolts and wrenches and tools and screwdrivers. So tomorrow my plan is that I'm gonna do a clean out on the processor because I got tons of debris in there. I'm gonna do that, and then maybe the day after that I can start working on processing some more wood because next week I'll have to do another delivery of the boiler wood to my customer that has gotten 4 loads so far, and she wants 4 more for sure. And there's about probably a little over a half a load right here on the ground now. So all this debris tomorrow, that's what I was going to do today. All this debris, all the debris under there, taking the tote away with the sawdust. It's, I don't know, it's full enough. And when I pull it away, all this will get scooped in there too, because there's a whole bunch down there. So that's on tomorrow's project. It's a cleanup day. So come on back and maybe we'll do some processing. See you tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. I'll be here. You should be here. Right now you should go watch some other videos with the Pope because he's watching right now. Good night, Irene.